I think that's great, but you know, at the same time, although you do want to shop around, you also want to make sure you're getting quality care. And I don't want somebody to say, oh, this costs $25, so let me just go there, if that's going to be subpar care, which it not always is that case, because sometimes you can get a lower price and still get great care, but just keep that in mind when
Basically,
you're looking at
what
prices.
you're highlighting, and I hate to acknowledge this, is healthcare is the only service industry where you really have to trust someone else. Because the truth is, Dan, you didn't know how to inject your shoulder with cortisone for bursitis. You just kind of walked in there 45 minutes. You thought, my arm hurts, this is gonna help, great. And in fairness, that's the way it should work. I do need to ask you though, were you able to negotiate it all? Did you end up paying the charge?
Well, I decided with the customer rep, and I didn't think it would help, that was going nowhere. So then I asked for the supervisor, did exactly what was said. You have control over what needs to get paid here. Yes. Well, let's discuss this fee, which makes absolutely no sense. She fairly quickly came out and go, let's just do it for $700 and call it a day. So I said, well, let me ask you this. And it was part of my way I could be sometimes. I said, if I asked the doctor literally to step outside of the building, give me the shot there, I'd be off the hook for the $1,400, wouldn't I? And she said, well, yes, you wouldn't be in the facility. Anyway, I decided after some hesitation, I would pay the fee, because if I don't pay the fee, then it becomes an outstanding charge. Then they could turn it over to a collection agency, and then my credit could get affected.
And in fairness, you've already probably spent hours on this, and I think that's an element of this that people also forget is it's not just your money, it's the amount of time that you're spending trying to figure this all out, and it's very frustrating. I'm sorry you went through that, and I hope by sharing your story, it'll be a lesson learned for everyone else, because look, these are things that even as we sit here hosting a show called The Doctors, many of us are unfamiliar with. There are so many games played nowadays, and Dr. McCary, I thank you because you're helping to increase transparency. I've said this before when you've been on our show. People like Dr. McCary are going out there trying to create transparency. Now, the only way we're going to create change in this country is if we demand it. The healthcare system only works because, quite frankly, we are the ones who go to these facilities, and if we don't raise enough stink, it's not going to change. But if we all start raising a stink together, and Dan, thank you for challenging this. We need to do that. We need to call out those facilities. If you're in a community where the hospital is price gouging, the facility is price gouging, we need to call everyone out, all the bad players. There are good players in the healthcare space, and there are bad players. We got to get rid of the bad players.
Well, and
we have to.
The transparency translates to the providers too, right? I mean, Marty, I run my own several surgery centers and PAs and assistants and things like that. It all comes down to, on my part, transparency, letting patients know up front what it's going to entail. I don't want unhappy patients. I don't want people having a bad experience or feeling like that they were price gouged. So providers too, they need to let patients know everything up front.
Dr. McCary, once again, I'll give you the floor before we let you go, but thank you for the diligent work you're doing, trying to uncover all of this madness.
Well, thank you, Travis. You know, I, like all of you, care deeply about our profession. And right now, this stuff is threatening, these crazy money games and price gouging is threatening the public trust in our great profession. So thank you for your work. Thank you for bringing attention to these issues. And you're absolutely right, Dr. Ordon. You know, when small practices have had accountability with their patients, they behave. When large corporate medicine moves in and does dirty money practices, guess what? We lose that public accountability, and that opens the door to a lot of bad stuff.
Well, let's keep this change going. Dr. McCary, thank you, Dan. Best of luck.